Qatar Airways markets itself as the world's best airline. But is this true in economy class too? And does their airport match the hype? Join me on a painfully wet trip on Qatar Airways' newest aircraft today on Markus Travels. I'm flying from Doha, Qatar to Zurich, Switzerland on the Qatar Airways A350. The scheduled duration is 6 hours and 10 minutes. Qatar Airways uses the Hamad International Airport located east of downtown Doha, the capital of Qatar. When I arrived here, I took the subway, which has, in addition to standard class, a Gold Club class. It is a bit ridiculous, but it only costs around $8 US for a day pass in Gold Club. It's about the same as a one-way Uber ride which I took to the airport. The standard class day pass on the subway is under $2 US. I paid for this trip myself so that you get a non-sponsored and authentic travel review. Welcome to my channel, Markus Travels. We'll talk more about the price and the value for money at the end of the video. That analysis will include one incident that I was not prepared for. Welcome to Hamad International Airport in Doha, as you can tell by the famous lamp bearer behind me. The most impressive part of the Hamad International Airport in Doha will be airside, which we'll see in a moment. Here in the check-in hall, the ambiance is calm with these high vaulted ceilings. I had already completed my online check-in on my phone the day before. In order to drop off my bag, I still needed to go to one of the many check-in machines. It printed my bag tag as well as my boarding pass. This kinda makes online check-in pointless if you have baggage to check in. Qatar Airways knew this because there were plenty of staff explaining what I had to do. This process could be improved. I'm flying economy class today, so I don't have access to a lounge. But Qatar Airways did offer to sell me some lounge access, both at booking and at online check-in. They had many different paid lounge accesses to choose from. Next time I'm here, I might check out one of them, because I think I have a reason to come back to Doha. I liked it here. Right after security, the Hamad International Airport makes a great second impression. You take the escalator down from security and you arrive in what is basically a high-end shopping mall. The coolest part of the airport will be a short train ride away. From the lamp bear, all the gate areas are clearly marked and they're easy to see. There's an endless supply of luxury boutiques. Even the children's playground felt very high-end. After a short train ride, I end up at the Charlie and Delta gates. The artwork in the middle is not quite as impressive as the lamp bear, but it does add character to the place. The fact that you observe it while descending the escalators must be intentional. This part of the airport is home to my favorite feature so far, the orchard. It's an indoor jungle park with waterfalls and an elevated walkway. All the shops are right next to it. You even walk to the gates through the park. This reminds me a bit of what they have at the Changi Airport in Singapore. One difference is that in Singapore it's open to the public. Here the park is located airside. If the purpose of the orchard was to create calm in an environment that can be stressful, it works. This was really nice. I wish I had more time here. If the purpose of the orchard was an ostentatious display of wealth, well, it works for that too. If the purpose of the orchard was to build a stunning world-class airport, well, it worked very well for that. The pictures from the park is what I've shown people when I've talked about my trip to Qatar. But we do also have a plane to catch. Let's walk over to the Delta gates, past some more luxury shopping. I made it over to gate Delta 2 for this Qatar Airways flight over to Zurich. Our Airbus A350 is already waiting for us. I think we will have an on-time departure. The gate area is calm, with plenty of seating and charging ports. You can take a regular seat, a high table, a comfy couch, or a little privacy booth. There's also some food outlets and a duty-free shop in this area. This is my first time flying Qatar Airways, my first time departing Hamad International Airport, and I gotta say I'm really impressed by the airport. Just the orchard alone, I could have spent a lot more time there. The check-in and security experience was really good. I spent almost no time at all at the bag drop queue. Then I went through the security and they used these e-gates for immigration check. That was immediate. It took no time at all. The security check was friendly, but they do have one area where they could improve the process. Once the bins go through the machine, they all just kind of pile up on the band there. There is no automatic bin return system, so a guy literally has to pick them up and put them in the bin return slot. And if they're not picked up on time, then what's going to happen, what I saw happen, is that the bins are going to pile up and they're going to collide with each other, and then the pressure is going to be so big that they all just kind of explode up above the belt. That is not great design. Room for improvement. It's time to board. Delta 2 is there behind me, but they're actually using the other side of the Delta 2 gate. So let's go over there. The boarding is well organized. On the right is the priority line. And on the left, the economy line is set up in a little maze. Here we will see the first example of service from Qatar Airways that goes above and beyond what I'm used to.
Yes, please. Good morning. Hello, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. How are you?
My name is Mr. Markus. Spillelli, going to Zurich.
That's correct.
Scan your barcode. Scan the barcode machine.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
The gate agent greets me by name and confirms my destination. I don't remember seeing that on United or Swiss. As I walk toward the aircraft, there's another staff member who wants to see my boarding pass. Not sure why. I don't remember them using 2 jet bridges, so I don't think it was about getting me to the right one. We walk through the Q suites, that's the business class cabin, and then the economy class cabin. My seat today will be 30 Alpha, a bulkhead window seat with unlimited legroom. Waiting at my seat are a blanket, a pillow, and some headphones. As soon as I sit down, the crew hands me a sealed cup of water and a packaged moist towel. I have a person sitting next to me. He will become a key player in this experience in just a moment. For the time being, I don't want to bother him too much by filming here. In the ceiling of the A350, we have individual air vents. This is appreciated. Qatar Airways keeps the window shades down during boarding. I presume this is to not let in too much heat. We are in the desert, after all. As we prepare for takeoff, the blinds need to be open again. Doha is the hub of Qatar Airways. We see a lot of their aircraft, both from the gate and from the taxiways. As we make our way to the skies, let's see a few words about how Qatar Airways positions itself in the market. They highlight that they are the world's best airline 2024, according to Skytrax 2024. Skytrax, of course, has its business model. We're not going to get into that here. The awards they showcase are the world's best business class, the world's best business class lounge, and best airline in the Middle East. Based on my experience on this flight, I can see how that would be justified. They also showcase awards for the airport, including Best Airport in the Middle East for the 11th year running. Qatar Airways also highlights awards from airlineratings.com. This includes Airline of the Year 2024, Best Business Class for the 5th consecutive year, as well as Best Catering. My expectations are set high. There's a lot to be said about the service on board, too. We'll talk more about that right after the meal. As we depart Doha, we get an excellent view of this beautiful city. We got the skyscrapers of the West Bay. A bit further north, we passed by Lusail. That's where I stayed in the Qatar Towers, both the Raffles and the Fairmont. There's links to both of those reviews in the description below. In front of my seat, there is nothing, so I have all the legroom on the planet. What's missing, though, is any kind of storage. There's not even a space to place my phone, let alone my camera. On my right, I have the button for the seat recline, the tray table, which is in the armrest, and the entertainment screen. That's currently parked under my seat, but you can see my seat neighbor's screen already deployed. Here, I've opened my tray table and the meal service starts. We begin with crunchy corn snacks and a Coke Zero. For the meal, I picked the chicken pasta, which came with a starter and a dessert. But this is also where things go wrong. Let's jump into the studio for the details. So I'm sitting in the left seat here, and in the middle seat is an old Swiss gentleman. Suddenly, I feel a splash of liquid on my arm, on my shirt, and on my lap. The guy had spilled Coke all over me, and he didn't even notice. The next incident I see, because now I'm alerted, he's playing around with his in-flight entertainment with his right hand, but in his left hand he holds an open cup of Coke. And he spills it again, just tilts it like that because he's not paying attention. And it spills all over me here on the left. There. Now, accidents happen, but this was just carelessness. And the thing that infuriated me in particular was that he didn't even care. I even told him in German to please stop pouring Coke all over me. I even grabbed his hand, which is right here, to keep it stable. But I got no reaction. He did not acknowledge what he had done. He did not help me clean it up. He did not apologize. He did not even remove his headphones. What a nightmare seat neighbor. As soon as the initial shock had subsided, I flagged down the crew member who had served the meals. He was just one row behind us. This guy spilled quickly. And the crew member brought me a big stack of napkins that I could use to dry up my seat, my clothes, and my tray. Luckily, none of the Coke spilled on my camera or my phone, but I was distraught. And in that mini panic, I dropped my phone on the ground. But the crew member who was there, he was able to fish it up from under my seat. Very nice. The crew member also offered me an extra blanket so I wouldn't have to sit in the wet seat for the rest of the flight. Great idea. At this point, we still have about 4.5 hours to go on this flight to Zurich. I was not looking forward to spending it in these wet clothes, so I asked the crew member if they do have any free seats left that would be dry. Unfortunately, the flight was sold out, so there were no other seats available. So at this point, I had no choice but to stay seated and finish my meal while sending evil thoughts to the guy next to me who had spilled on me. His wife was seated in the row behind me, and I almost considered speaking to her so that she can explain to him in Swiss German what he had done, because he showed no remorse. I just really wanted him to acknowledge that he had done something really dumb. But this is a story about the excellent service on board Qatar Airways. After the meal, the service director came up to me and asked me, would I like to change into some loungewear so I can get out of my wet clothes for the rest of the flight? I asked her, do you mean the pajamas from the business class? And she said, yeah, that was the offer. I initially said no thanks, but a bit later she brought them anyway. And I have them here. Here's the unopened package of pajamas from Qatar Airways business class. As you can see, I didn't end up using them because by that time I was already beginning to dry up, and it would have been more of a hassle to change into and then out of it for this 4 hours remaining on the flight. But the point that I want to make with this story is that the way the crew handled this very awkward situation was outstanding. I really don't know what else they could have done to make me feel more comfortable when I got Coke splashed over me. They had the napkins, the extra blanket, and the pajamas. Perfect. I made sure to specifically thank that flight attendant who reacted so quickly in the initial phase. That was just really well done by him. You can tell a lot by any kind of service provider by how they react when things go wrong. And in this instance, I think Qatar Airways did a perfect job. And now let's go back to the food. I don't remember exactly what was on the menu. The economy menu is supposed to be available in 2 different places. One is on the website when you check in, but I was not able to access it there. And the second way of accessing the economy class menu would be through the Wi-Fi on board, but I was not able to connect to that either. But I do remember that there were 3 distinct choices available in economy class. And they didn't present them in the very standard way, just asking beef, chicken, or veg. No, rather, the flight attendant went into some detail describing each of the dishes, talking about separately the starter and the dessert and the main dish as well, with a lot more description than I would expect. I really got the impression that Qatar Airways takes some pride in their catering. By the way, the food and drinks are included in the fare, including drinks with alcohol. I really liked my meal on this flight. The portion was more than generous. The salad in particular had some character. It wasn't your standard airline salad. A couple of hours into the flight, the crew came through once again with those sealed cups of water. About 40 minutes after that, they came through with another full drink service and snacks as well. I had myself some chips. On this flight, there was no second meal. And for a 6-hour flight, that's kind of an edge case. But I do note that because the portions were so big, a second meal wasn't really absolutely necessary. With that, let's jump back on board and check out the in-flight entertainment system. Qatar Airways has a world-class entertainment system. I connected my own headphones, which worked really well. There are 2 headphone jacks if you want to watch something with your seatmate. The selection is vast in a heap of different categories. One of the highlights are the external cameras mounted on the aircraft. The rear camera worked, the forward camera worked, but the downward camera did not work. The 3D flight map had many different views to choose from. This is all touchscreen with no remote. The screen was responsive and bright, great system. The lavatory was kept in good condition throughout the flight. Everything you'd want is here, and almost everything worked. The only exception was that it was difficult to lock the door. The door latch didn't easily slide all the way to the right. It's in this kind of middle position here. It did indicate above the sink, please lock door. While I was outside the lavatory, I saw the flight attendant knock gently on the door and opening it because they were not sure if somebody was in there. There was somebody in there all the time. If you used a bit more force, the latch did close. There's enough space here to turn around, and you can sit comfortably on the can even if you're male. This is a good lavatory. We have begun our descent into Zurich Airport. As we approach Zurich Airport, let's talk about the price and the value for money. This was a one-way ticket from Doha to Zurich. The total price I paid was 974 Swiss francs, which is about $1,200 US. That's not cheap. Then again, this flight was on Easter Monday, so demand was high due to the long weekend in Europe. Also, this is the only direct flight between Doha and Zurich. Swiss International Airlines does not fly this route. On my way to Doha, I flew Turkish Airlines instead. That was a completely different experience. Hit the subscribe button to be notified when that video comes out. I am very happy with my experience on Qatar Airways. This was my first time flying them, and they really delivered an economy class experience of a true premium airline. The airport experience, amazing. The seat, very comfortable. The food, more than I expected. And the service was out of this world. I really feel that you get what you pay for with Qatar Airways. I'd be very happy to fly them again, even if it means paying a premium. I think a lot of people consider Doha only as a place to connect to other flights, but I was actually there to visit the city itself. Click or tap the screen right here to watch my video of one of the failed hotels that I tried. This is the Fairmont Doha, located in the iconic Qatar Towers, but nothing actually worked in the hotel itself. So check out that video now. Thank you for watching Markus Travels, and I will see you in the next video.